The biology of new stuff. New stuff hits the reward system fast. Novelty spikes dopamine, then your baseline dips, so your brain starts seeking again. That's why the honeymoon fades and the "what else should I tweak?" urge shows up. Meanwhile, mild sensory noise, flicker, hum, subtle color shifts, taxes the prefrontal cortex. Focus bandwidth shrinks, so you lean on tabs, snacks, or playlist changes to prop it up. Choice load piles on, cortisol creeps up, and your body moves into scanning mode instead of depth. Micro mismatch matters more than you think. Different mouse weight, new key travel, chair height off by a centimeter. Your motor system fires constant micro-corrections. That burns working memory you thought you had for the hard part. There's also an acclimation tax. Research from Université Paris-Cité's NeuroDiderot group highlights nervous system, immune crosstalk when environments change. Translation: new sensory inputs keep your brain in correction mode. For about a week, recall slows, flow turns choppy, and you surf more. So the Diderot effect isn't just money, it's nervous system debt. Let me show you why upgrades backfire at the body level. Why upgrading backfires? The Diderot effect, but physiological. The Diderot effect says one nice thing demands matching nice things so your identity feels coherent. You buy a premium chair, then your desk looks cheap, your monitor feels small, and suddenly your whole setup needs an overhaul. That's the psychological loop. The physiological version is sneakier. Identity says, high-performance me. Your body says, predictable and safe, please. That gap is where focus leaks. Each upgrade introduces new sensory signatures, weight, texture, light, sound, that don't match your existing motor maps. Your brain can handle it, sure, but there's a cost. It borrows bandwidth from working memory and executive control to recalibrate. The thing most people miss is comfort optimization versus signal clarity. When you soften every surface, dim every edge, and smooth out all friction, you also blur arousal signals. Your brain loses crisp cues like firm wrist contact, stable key feel, and consistent white light that help it snap into task mode. It feels nicer, but it's fuzzier. This clicked for me when a client swapped to a featherlight mouse and buttery lube on their switches. Typing felt amazing. Output tanked for a week. Why? Their motor system was relearning force, timing, and error correction. Those microlearns came straight out of the working memory budget they needed to write. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Small sensory changes can hit working memory hard, especially if you're more sensitive to input. Research on sensory processing sensitivity links mild environmental shifts to measurable drops in visual working memory in some groups. Think on the order of about 20% in controlled contexts. If you're that person who feels every flicker and hears every fan, novelty doesn't just excite you, it taxes you. You're running with less RAM until things stabilize. Now here's where most people mess up. They stack changes. New keyboard, new chair, new monitor, new app stack. The brain's trying to build a new map for each variable while you're also asking it to do deep work. That's like changing shoes, road, and car while you learn a new route. You'll arrive, but late and stressed. Add social comparison and it gets worse. Your feed primes still not enough, so your identity bar climbs faster than your skill. You tinker more, you produce less, and you tell yourself you're almost ready. There's also hidden debt no one budgets for. Habituation time, days to rebuild motor and sensory maps. Decision fatigue, picking layouts, profiles, color temps. Care tasks, charging, cleaning, updating, recabling. Each of these costs you future attention. Decision overhead especially keeps your cortisol slightly elevated. You shift from I'm in it to I'm managing it. And once you're managing, you're scanning for options, which is the opposite of depth. Before we continue, you need to understand why identity coherence becomes a sensory mismatch loop. When you upgrade to match a self-image, you have to change multiple cues to stay coherent: appearance, feel, sound. Every cue change breaks an old prediction. The prediction error is tiny but constant. Your nervous system resolves it with micro-corrections. That is effort. Effort reduces surplus. No surplus, no creative risk. No risk, no deep work. Now you might be thinking, so should I never improve anything? No, you just need sequence and stability. Stability first, improvement second, and one variable at a time. When you respect adaptation windows, upgrades stop eating your focus. Let me show you exactly how the spiral runs day to day. You start with a real discomfort. Wrists hurt, screen too bright, chair angle off. You research fixes. Dopamine rises from the hunt. You buy. First session feels great. Second and third are jittery. You assume the tool isn't right, not that your brain is adapting. You tweak again. More novelty, more micro mismatch, more decision load. By week 2, your baseline feels lower, so you chase another fix. The reason this works against you is biology, not motivation. Novelty dips dopamine after the spike, so you seek. Choice overload keeps cortisol up, so you scan. Micro mismatch burns working memory, so you compensate with shortcuts, more tabs, easier tasks, quick wins. It feels like you lost discipline. You actually lost bandwidth. If you remember nothing else, remember this: depth loves predictability. Keep the core cues stable: weight, light, sound, posture, and your prefrontal cortex can spend its budget on thinking, not correcting. Then, when you do change something, you'll feel the gain instead of paying it down for 2 weeks. And yes, there's a time to add comfort, but use comfort to reduce pain, not to erase sensation. Targeted comfort that preserves clear signals is the move. Firm where you need contact, quiet but consistent sound, bright and stable light. You want your brain to recognize, oh, this is the work cave, not, what's this place? Because the second question costs you every single time. The luxury trap map, 5-stage spiral. Let's map the spiral so you can see it coming and stop it early. 5 stages. You've probably lived all 5 without naming them. Stage 1, discomfort plus promise seeking. Something's off, wrists ache, glare hurts, your files feel messy. That's real. You open YouTube, reviews, Reddit threads, best of lists. The hunt feels productive. It's not just curiosity. Your brain's reward system lights up on anticipation. Micro hit after micro hit. And here's the kicker. Every new option you consider is a little decision. Adults make roughly 35,000 decisions per day. Stack a few hundred tiny gear choices and your prefrontal cortex feels it. Cortisol edges up. You shift into scanning mode. That's the first tilt away from depth. Stage 2, acquisition dopamine and the honeymoon bump. You click buy, unbox, dial in the settings. First session feels crisp. Part placebo, part fresh attention, part you forcing care because it's new. This is where people say, see, tools matter. And sure they do, but remember the temporal trap. Novelty spikes dopamine now, then dips your baseline. When baseline drops, urges rise. That's the setup. Stage 3, micro mismatch friction and new care rituals. The second and third sessions get wobbly. Mouse weight is 10 grams heavier, key travel is shallower, your chair's tilt is 2 degrees different. Your motor system runs micro corrections nonstop. That drains working memory you wanted for ideas. Meanwhile, you've added care tasks. Charge the headset, clean the pads, update firmware, recalibrate color. Tiny, but each is a decision and a delay. Choice load keeps cortisol circulating, so your body stays in light vigilance. You start tab hopping and playlist shopping because the system is craving relief, not depth. Stage 4, baseline drop and the restoration chase. After a week, you notice it. Flow is choppy, recall slower, you're almost ready all day. This is the acclimation tax in action. Your nervous and immune systems are still processing new. Translation: your brain is in correction mode, not creation mode. The mistake here is attribution. You blame the gear instead of the adaptation window. So you look for the next tweak to restore the honeymoon. More novelty, more micro mismatch, more decisions. The baseline falls further. Stage 5, identity inflation, higher bar, deeper dissatisfaction. Your setup now signals high performance me, so your internal bar rises. But your actual output hasn't caught up because you've been paying the adaptation cost. The gap hurts. You soothe it with status signals, premium textures, pro presets, complex stacks. The look is coherent, the system is brittle. One change anywhere ripples everywhere. You're maintaining, not making. Now, the decision overload driver is the silent accelerator through all 5 stages. That 35,000 daily decisions stat isn't a scare line, it's a cortisol loop. When you swim in options, apps, layouts, presets, your brain shifts from selective attention to broad scanning. Scanning is adaptive in uncertain environments, but it kills depth. You get faster at noticing alternatives and slower at committing. It shows up as just checking one more review, trying one more layout, maybe a different font. Each micro choice burns glucose and executive bandwidth. Even if you choose right, the cost already hit you. Diagnostic cues make this easy to spot. If you catch yourself tab hopping during ramp up, that's not enthusiasm, it's avoidance triggered by load. If you're perpetually tweaking defaults, cursor speed, theme shade, panel order while telling yourself then I'll start, you're in the spiral. If your to-do says finalize setup, clean workspace, or organize knowledge base 3 days in a row, you're living in stage 3 and 4. And the big one, if your mouth says almost ready more than once a day, your nervous system is chasing safety through control, not through repetition. Here's the but therefore moment. Most people try to break the spiral by doing more research, but that adds fuel to stage 1. The spiral steals depth through novelty and choice, therefore you beat it with stability and constraints. Remove variance, decisions drop. When decisions drop, cortisol drops. When cortisol drops, your prefrontal cortex stops scanning and starts holding. That's when working memory returns for the real work. Quick micro story so this lands. A client spent 2 weeks tuning an ultra-wide, 3-color profiles, 4 window managers, reported fatigue by lunch. He locked one profile, one layout, hid the extras. First day felt weird, less control. Third day, tab hops fell by half. End of week, shipped work doubled. Nothing better happened. Less happened. That's the point. 2 more cues to watch. 1, are you adding care rituals faster than you're shipping? If cleaning, charging, labeling, or cataloging grows while output stalls, you're outsourcing competence to gear. 2, do you need a new playlist to start? That's your nervous system asking for novelty to push through the vigilance you created with too many choices. So how do you step off? You name the stage out loud. I'm in stage 1 hunting, or this is stage 3 mismatch. That label breaks the trance. Then you cap decisions with a hard limit, 1 preset, 1 profile, 1 app. You don't pick the perfect one, you pick the same one. That stabilizes signals so your biology can settle. Once stable, you test a change on a schedule, not a feeling. Coming up, we'll plug this map into a simple model: autonomy, competence, safety, and use it to design a baseline that resists the spiral instead of feeding it. The 3 levers reframed for anti-upgrade focus: autonomy, competence, safety. Now we plug the spiral into a simple model that actually changes behavior: autonomy, competence, safety. If you get these 3 right, upgrade urges cool off and focus holds. Miss one, and your brain goes shopping for fixes. Think of them as levers you can pull without buying anything. Start with autonomy. Autonomy is I choose to because, not I should because someone online said so. The thing most people miss is status hijacks autonomy. You think you're choosing, but really you're complying with an image. So we hardwire a pre-commit line: I choose to do deep work because X, therefore I'll keep Y the same for 2 weeks. Fill X with your actual goal, finish draft, ship design, and Y with a stability target: mouse, layout, playlist, chair height. This shifts the control locus back to you and away from the algorithm. And yeah, it feels small, but it shuts down half the maybe I'll just try loops. Do you make autonomy visible? Defaults and constraints. You set a default stack: 1 app for notes, 1 for tasks, 1 for files, and a constraint: only change on Fridays after review. You also add fallback kits, a travel variant that mirrors your home baseline: same light color, same shortcuts, same input-output capture. When options shrink on purpose, choice fatigue drops, cortisol dips, and your prefrontal cortex stops scanning for alternatives. That's autonomy you can feel in your body. Next lever is competence, not the buzz hit from dialing a new feature. Real competence is output stability. Can you reproduce good work on command? So we measure the right thing. Replace "did I like the tool?" with "did output hold or rise across 3 sessions?" Pick one metric that matches your craft: finished pages, comped screens, solved tickets, minutes of error-free code, problem sets done. Track streaks, not spikes. If you remember nothing else here, remember: novelty spikes are counterfeit competence. Stability streaks are the real deal. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Competence grows when you remove variance, not when you add functionality. So you build constraints into your workflow. Single contrast environment, stable color temp, single light source, posture and weight consistency, lock chair and desk height, standardized device heft within 5%. 1 button start sequence: open notes, open task, open file, go. No pre-task tinkering allowed. Then you add a single variable test lane: 1 tweak per week, pre-post compare, 7 sessions, revert if no gain. When you operate like this, you turn changes into experiments instead of identity moves, and your nervous system doesn't flare. Now safety. Before we continue, you need to understand why safety is the quiet driver. Your body hates uncertainty. Every new cue says pay attention. That's great for novelty, brutal for depth. Safety means predictable cues, low sensory variance, and stable rituals. It's the opposite of luxury comfort bloat. You're not trying to feel pampered, you're trying to feel expected. So we anchor with repetition. Same mug, same pen, same seat, same scent for deep work only. Sound is one consistent layer, pink noise, fan, no variable playlists. Light is bright and steady, bias to neutral white, no color cycling. Your brain sees the same pattern and downshifts correction. That's safety. Emotional regulation fits here too. Decision volatility kicks the stress system, so we reduce it with pre-decisions. You script the first 90 seconds. Sit, breathe low and slow, soften gaze down the midline, name the task, start the timer. That micro-protocol tells the nervous system, nothing new is happening. Cortisol slides, working memory opens. You'll feel the urge to check something. Name it and return. After a few days, that urge fades because the body trusts the ritual. Let me show you exactly how to wire all three into setup rules. Autonomy rules, write I choose to because at the top of your daily card. Add the trade-off. Therefore, I keep mouse, layout, playlist fixed. Set a cooling off window, no gear or app changes until Friday review. If an idea hits, capture it in one inbox, don't act. Competence rules, define one outcome metric with a target delta, like 10% more finished pages. Log 3-session mini streaks. Only consider a change after a stable streak. Test single variables only for 7 sessions with a kill switch if output doesn't improve. Safety rules, lock sensory cues, color, temp, sound, layer, seat height, typing surface. Build a one-button start. Add a fallback kit that mirrors home. Same shortcuts, same pen weight, same light profile. Schedule maintenance, clean, charge, check, same day, same order. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. The upgrade itch doesn't disappear, it just loses leverage. Because autonomy says you're choosing the mission, competence says you're winning by results, and safety says your body is okay right here. And when your body is okay, your brain stops shopping, stops scanning, and finally holds the thread. This next part separates beginners from pros. We're going to lock a baseline so tight it delivers flow on demand. That's your minimum viable momentum workspace, and it's where your setup starts paying you back. Minimum viable momentum, MVM workspace, locking a baseline. Minimum viable momentum is the smallest reliable setup that gives you flow on demand. Not the prettiest, not the most future-proof. The rig you can sit down at, press one thing, and your brain knows exactly what to do. When this clicks, upgrades stop being tempting because you don't need them to get rolling. Here's the idea. We strip the workspace to only the cues that matter for starting, staying, and shipping. Everything else is a maybe later accessory, parked out of sight. Think simple, sturdy, repeatable. Start with the 3-object rule: one input, one output, one capture. Input is how you make changes to the world, keyboard and mouse, or pen. Output is the live canvas, one screen or one notebook page in front, nothing competing. Capture is a single inbox, one note app or one index card for ideas that pop up. If something doesn't fit one of those 3, it's parked. Then lock the environment to a single contrast. Stable color temperature, single light source, no color cycling, no accent lights pulsing in your periphery. Your visual system stops remeasuring the room every time you look up. It's boring on purpose. Boring equals predictable. Predictable equals more working memory for the task. Posture and weight consistency matters more than people think. Pick a chair height and desk height, and don't touch them for 2 weeks. If you swap devices, match their heft within 5%. That means if your mouse is 80 grams at home, your travel mouse is within a few grams. Your wrist and forearm want the same load, so your motor system can fire on autopilot. Build a one-button start. That's the entire ritual. One button that launches your exact deep work layout. For me, it's a hotkey that opens 3 things: notes on the left, task card in the top corner, and the live file front and center. Timer starts, playlist fades in, done. No pre-task tinkering allowed. If you need more than one click to start, you've left space for avoidance. Now a quick sanity check so you don't overbuild. If you can't tear down and rebuild your MVM in 15 minutes, it's too complex. The game is portability, which brings us to the fallback kit. This is your travel mirror of home. Same shortcuts, same light profile, same pen weight, same input-output capture. Packet pre-assembled. When you land somewhere new, you recreate the cues fast so your nervous system doesn't flare with novelty. Okay, so the tricky part is deciding what's in versus nearby. Here's a simple lane system. In the lane, the 3 objects, 1 fixed light, 1 consistent sound layer, your chair and desk presets, and the 1 button start. Nearby lane, reference books, secondary screens, specialty tools. They live out of sight, drawer, shelf, or closed case, and only come out after the first deep block is done. That keeps the start sequence clean. Actually, let me back up and make the sound rule clear because this saves people immediately. Pick 1 consistent layer. Pink noise, a fan, or a single instrumental playlist you do not change during the block. Variable playlists are sneaky novelty. They make your brain monitor for the next song instead of the next thought. Keep 1 track, loop if you have to. The point isn't music, it's a stable auditory blanket. For scent, if you use it, keep it mild and only for deep work. 1 smell equals 1 state. Don't use it for anything else. Your brain will start pairing that cue with "we go deep now," which trims your ramp-up time a little more each day. A common mistake is starting from aesthetics instead of function. They buy plants, frames, RGB, and then wonder why their output didn't move. Aesthetics are fine later. First, you need a rig that boots your brain in under 30 seconds. Put the pretty stuff on the wall behind you where you never look during a block, not in your field of view. Let me show you exactly how to lock this in today. Clear your desk to bare. Put back only input, output capture. Set your light to a neutral white you can keep fixed. Turn off extras. Adjust chair and desk once. Tape a tiny mark so you can return to it. Standardize device weights. If you can't, add or remove small stick-on weights. Create a single hotkey that opens Notes, Task, and Live File. Pick 1 sound layer. Save it as a system-level preset. Move all other tools to a later bin out of reach. Run it for 3 sessions before you judge it. The first might feel plain. That's the point. Plain is the canvas your brain paints on. Now mirror it for travel. A slim light bar with the same color temp. Earbuds with your 1 sound profile saved. A compact keyboard matched in weight or feel. 1 notebook and the same pen. A small stand that sets your laptop at the same height. Pre-pack the kit. No experiments on the road. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Name your baseline. Give it a dumb, clear label. Baseline A, write the exact cues under it. Light 400K, chair 44cm, mouse 80G, playlist X. When you change one thing later, you can revert instantly because you know what home is. If you remember nothing else here, remember this. MVM isn't minimalism. It's reliability. A tiny rig that works every time beats a perfect rig that needs babysitting. Lock the cues, press 1 button, and let the work happen. Dopamine drain reset, clearing novelty debt. All right, before we add anything new, we clear the novelty debt. Think of this as a system flush so your brain stops scanning and starts holding. It's 3 days, strict, and it works fast. First, a 72-hour novelty fast. No new tools, no new apps, no layout changes, no researching gear, no what's the best content. If a tweak idea pops up, capture it in your single inbox and walk away. This isn't punishment, it's a cortisol reset. Every avoided choice is a tiny win your nervous system feels. Next, a sensory monotony diet. Same playlist every block, same mug, same pen, same seat, same light. Don't swap scents, don't rotate headphones, don't change wallpapers. When the cues stop changing, your brain stops remeasuring. That frees up working memory you thought you'd lost. Boring is medicine for the next 3 days. Lock the task loop with identical start and end rituals. Start, sit, 1 button launch, 60 to 90 seconds of downshift. End, stop timer, write a 2-line summary, type tomorrow's first line, kill gaps. Bookend every block the same way. You're telling your body, nothing new to monitor. That lowers vigilance and makes the next start easier. Add micro deprivation to cut visual noise. Set your desktop to grayscale or a plain neutral. Hide the dock or taskbar. Nuke widgets. Turn off badging. Close floating tool panels you don't need for the current task. The rule is simple. If it moves or flashes and isn't the work, it's gone. Less scanning, more staying. Now the physiology piece that changes the whole feel. Do a 90-second breathing and gaze protocol before each deep block. Inhale through your nose for 4, hold for 1, exhale for 6 to 8, repeat. Keep your gaze soft, slightly down the midline, not darting. That combo nudges your stress chemistry down and opens attentional bandwidth. It's quick, and you'll feel it by the 3rd breath. During the reset, no variable playlists. Pick a single layer, pink noise, a fan, or one non-lyrical track and don't touch it. Variable music is sneaky novelty. Your brain will keep half an ear out for the next change. We want all ears on the work. Food and caffeine, same simple plan, same times. Novelty creeps in through snacks and coffee routines too. You're aiming for predictable input, predictable output. Hydrate, sure, but skip the new roast and the mid-block treat experiment. Save that for after day 3. What about breaks? Keep them low variance. Stand, stretch, water, brief walk if you can, then sit back in the exact same posture. Don't touch settings. Don't check gear threads. No quick reorg. Your only job is to let the nervous system realize nothing dangerous is happening, so it can stop flooding you with fix-it urges. Expect day 1 to feel weird. You'll itch to tweak. That's the dopamine dip pulling you to seek. Expect day 2 to feel flat. That's normal, your baseline is leveling. Day 3 usually clicks. Ramp up shortens, tab hopping drops, single task time goes up. Watch for those cues, not vibes. Reintroduction is where most people blow it. You don't earn dessert by adding 3 changes at once. You earn it by testing one variable only after output stabilizes. Criteria is simple. Objective output improves 3 sessions in a row compared to your last week. Pick one clear metric: finished pages, solved bugs, comped screens, whatever fits, and only greenlight a tweak when that metric holds or rises across 3 consecutive deep blocks. When you do reintroduce, make it small and measurable. One keycap profile, not a whole keyboard. One mouse DPI notch, not a new device. One note template tweak, not a new app. Then run 7 sessions with that single change. If your metric doesn't improve, kill switch. Revert to baseline, a no sunk cost speeches. You're a scientist now, not a shopper. Tie this to safety with a scent or sound anchor reserved only for deep work. One mild smell or one fixed track tells your body, we're back in the cave. Don't use it anywhere else. After a week, that cue trims ramp up by habit alone. 2 quick blockers to watch. 1, stealth novelty. Swapping tabs, tinkering with window sizes, changing fonts for clarity. That's novelty in disguise. Lock the layout and live with it for the window. 2, performative prep. If you're cleaning, cable managing, or color swatching before you start, you're seeking regulation through control. Name it, park it, start the block. If you remember nothing else from this reset, remember this. Predictability is what frees your prefrontal cortex, not motivation. 3 days of sameness gives you your bandwidth back. Then you can choose one precise change and actually feel the gain, instead of paying interest on 5.